Hey guys! So today I want to talk to you about my substitute teaching experience. Throughout this video, please keep in mind that I am in Ohio and this might only apply to Ohio substitute teachers and Ohio graduates. I would just really recommend that you look into your state's state education department. I'm trying to keep this organized for you guys. There's a lot that happened. Okay, so I graduated on my birthday, December 16th, 2017. I knew I was gonna be unemployed for the rest of that year and then like the beginning part of January. The college had told us to expect a lull because we had graduated in December and it's around like the Christmas time, winter break, all that. I don't think the college got back into session until like, I don't know, January 10th or something like that. It was a couple weeks into January that we were gonna have to wait. They told us to expect around January 9th for degrees and transcripts to start going out. We had to wait for our degrees to get conferred or approved and also for our transcripts to get approved. Just to make sure that any classes we substituted in or out were okay and like everything was good. I was on the ODE website like looking for jobs and like substitute jobs, and there's a site called Applitrack, like application is what Ohio or the school systems here use, so maybe check that. Yes, so I was just looking around for jobs. So finally that date came and my transcripts still weren't approved and my degree still hadn't been cleared. So I gave it until about like January 15th because I needed my transcripts to start applying for jobs and I needed it for my license. Like they need to see that your degree went through and your transcripts are cleared to give you that degree. So like I couldn't do anything. It was just at a standstill. So finally, it had to have been like January 15th. I went on to my university's website and just requested my transcripts electronically because I'm like, okay, if nothing else, I can start applying and give them that and like just say, oh, my degree is being cleared or whatever, and just get something started. I had assumed that if I could get my transcripts electronically, because like, at least on my college, I'm sure it's on every college's website, you can request an official transcript or request an unofficial transcript. So I assumed that if I requested an official transcript, they wouldn't give it to me unless it was official, you know? So I requested an official electronic transcript. It came through, I want to say like a couple hours after I requested it. And I was like, oh, cool. I have my application, or I have my transcript. It's been cleared and I can start applying. So I sent my transcript in to ODE, Ohio Department of Education, for my license. And they said like within 10 business days it would be cleared. Or like I would get my license within 10 business days. Side note, I didn't get my teaching license. I only got a short-term sub license because, as I kind of mentioned before, I had been unemployed the whole time I've been student teaching, so funds are very low. So the best thing for me to do was to get the short-term sub license because it was only $25 versus I want to say like $125 or $150 for a full teaching license. The other thing is that, at least in Ohio, licenses only start in July. If you graduate in December, your choices for a license are, you get your license, you can either have it start July, that last July, or the July coming up. In my case, I graduated December 2017. I could have gotten my teaching license and had it start July of 2017, so going back, or I could have it start July 2018. Now, the problem that causes is if I knew I was going to get a full-time teaching job in January, I would have had to start my license of July 2017 because it's an active license. But with that, I lose all that time. So like August, September, October, November, December, January. So I'm losing like 5 to 6 months on that when we're talking about completing RESA. So like my license would be good for 5 years. I would lose like half of 1 year, like 5 to 6 months. So because I knew I wasn't getting a full-time job, I decided not to go with that because like I would have had to pay $125 or whatever for a license I couldn't use, and then on top of that pay for my subbing license. So I decided just to wait to purchase that one. I hope all of that makes sense because it's really confusing, and like it took me a long time to learn everything because nobody really tells you everything all at once, at least in my experience. So that was a big hullabaloo. So I sent my transcripts in to get my short-term subbing license, and I thought everything was good. And then the end of those 10 business days came up, and the status of my license still said in progress or like being reviewed or something like that. So I had to call the Department of Ed and be like, what's going on? And finally somebody was able to tell me that my transcripts were not official, that they hadn't been signed, so they couldn't grant me my license. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Like nobody told me this. I've been waiting for almost 2 weeks. It had been about 2 weeks at that time because there was like some sort of holiday or something in the middle of there. I don't know. It was a mess. I'd been waiting for a really long time and I just wanted a job. So I went back, looked at my transcripts, and requested another official one, paid for that one again, and I found out that I had requested my official transcripts literally like 6 hours too early. So I requested them at like, I don't know, 11 at night on the 15th, and then they were signed sometime during the day on the 16th. Like hours, literally hours, cost me like 2 weeks of applying for jobs. Oh, I was so frustrated. It still frustrates me thinking about it. So when you are getting your official transcripts, please make sure that they have already been signed. There's like a little thing in the top that'll say like signed on this day or like conferred this day. Like make sure that's there. I have my transcripts now and my degree finally comes in, which I didn't really like need, but it's kind of important in case I ask for it. Fun fact though, my degree had been signed by the previous president of the university and like his team, and they sent us all the wrong signatures on our degrees, so they had to reprint them and send them. So I have 2 degrees. So we have my degree and we have my transcripts, and now I can start applying, but not yet, because the Ohio Department of Education on their website for applying for subbing positions says do not apply for your subbing license until you have a job. Okay, fine. I won't apply for the subbing license until I have a job. However, the jobs that you're applying for will say that you need a license first. So like they put you in this catch-22 situation. Like I can't get a job without a license, but I can't get a license without a job. So what I had to do was, and this might help some of you guys if you get stuck in this position, all I did was I applied to my county's educational services center, because, and I don't know if this is going to be for every county or every state or whatever, but my county, they give you the name of somebody to put in for your license to okay it, because like that person has to go in and electronically okay that you're getting a job there. I guess, I don't know, it's really confusing, but you need the official like electronic signature of somebody at a school district for your license to happen. If you get into that predicament, try applying to your educational services center of your county. They might give you something, or one of the school districts might just give it to you. So I figured that out. So now I have my degree, I have my license, and I have an electronic signature that got me my my license. So now I can start applying to jobs. And this was around like January 20th, 25th. It was the very end of January by the time I was finally able to start applying for jobs. So at this point, I have been unemployed, like graduated and unemployed for over a month. Once I got all that mess figured out, I applied to a company who hires substitutes for a couple of school districts. What I found out was a lot of schools in my area are going to these like hiring agencies to hire subs for them. Like some of them you have to go through the school or go through the district. Some of them they send you to a company. I applied to 3 different places. So one of the schools that I wanted to be in, the school I student taught for, I have to go directly through that board of education. 2 of the schools I'm in, I have to go through a hiring company, and then a bunch of the other schools I got into through the county's educational services center. So I have 3 different places I'm hired through to get to these schools. I applied through one of these hiring agencies, and within like a day, they contacted me and said that they wanted to have a phone interview and to go on their website and apply for a phone interview. So I picked the time and day that I wanted to, which was like the next day. I had my interview. She hired me on the spot over the phone and said that they were having an orientation in like 2 or 3 days from that day. And to go to that and fill out paperwork and everything would be official and I could start subbing. A couple days later, I went to the orientation, and basically all it was like filling out payroll information and them telling us not to use our cell phones, to leave teachers a note, and to like be on the kids about behavior. Like basically just what to expect when you get into a classroom, which was nice because that was the only orientation I had gone to. The other 2 places didn't have an orientation, so I really wouldn't have known like what I was getting into had I not had that company's orientation. But I kind of do because like it's just teaching in somebody else's classroom, so But I could see how if it was just somebody with a bachelor's degree, like somebody who had a political science bachelor's degree and wanted to get into subbing, like I could see how that would be really difficult because they've never been in a classroom before. So I don't know, just something interesting. Finally, on February 12th, everything had been worked out. I had been hired places and I was able to pick up my first subbing job. I know that was all like really just, what's the word? Hullabaloo. It was a big hullabaloo. This process is really confusing, a lot more confusing than I ever thought it would be. Ask questions of your college before you graduate. Even after you graduate, contact them, just be like, what do I do? Know that this process could take a lot longer than you think. One of my friends got the actual teaching degree, and even that took, I think she said about a month. I think we ended up getting our licenses at about the same time. I hope nobody has to really go through the same thing I went through. Just keep your eye out for stuff like that. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I hope to be able to help as many people as I can. I know this is so confusing and stressful. And let me know if you're in other states besides Ohio, or even at other schools in Ohio, what your experience was in applying for licenses and substitute teaching and stuff. I would be really interested to know. Okay, so I think that's all I have for you guys today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!